Hi students. In this lecture I'm going to go over the short story, The Third and Final Continent. So let's go ahead and turn to Canvas. This is from the class notes for week 6. Jubal Lahiri's The Third and Final Continent was written in 1999. It's from the larger collection of short stories called The Interpreter of Maladies. That's the title of the main book, which won a Pulitzer Prize. So this is the highest award you can win in English literature. It's considered in the literary canon. Jubal Lahiri is a Indian native, and she is writing in the perspective of a young man who travels to the United States as an immigrant. And so it's kind of an interesting perspective that she's giving. So we don't know the name of the main character. We know he was first in London and then came to America and is in Boston. And what he's doing is he's working to make enough money to send home to his family and then also eventually to send his wife over to the United States. Her name is Mala, and it is a arranged marriage. I'm going to go more into her in a minute. But while he gets to Boston, he lives in a boarding house with a woman named Miss Croft. And she has a daughter that also comes over from time to time. Miss Croft is a very interesting character. She's goofy, eccentric, but she's 103. She was a piano teacher and she's very old-fashioned, and she may have dementia because she's quite forgetful, although she is older, so that would make sense. But he really takes to her, and I think they really develop a friendship. But I think he really looks at her as almost a mother figure. We learn that his mother did die when he was younger, and that she had some mental instability issues and some mental health issues that she was dealing with that may have caused her death. And so he really looks to Miss Croft as almost this guiding light, like this mother figure for him, this kind of feminine energy in his life, which may or may not remind him of his own mother. We're not sure. He doesn't really say, but it's possible. So his wife, Mala, it's an arranged marriage, and Mala really has got some trauma. She had been rejected previously by suitors. She gets to, a strange country and she cries all the time. She doesn't know her husband. She was basically a servant to his family while she was in India and he was in the United States. So she comes with a lot of worry and a lot of trauma. But one of the things that's really interesting in this story is this kind of process of assimilation that he's going through, right? So he comes from India to the United States, and food is a huge part of this. This is like a central part of the story in and of itself. When he gets to Boston, he starts to develop this habit of eating cornflakes with milk. And I don't think he really likes it. It's just that it is so American, right? And one of the things we know about cornflakes and Kellogg is that Kellogg created cornflakes as a way to kind of keep people's minds busy so they wouldn't resort to obscenity. They wouldn't, explore their sexuality. It was kind of this weird thing that Kellogg believed. And so it's very flavorless. It's very bland, right? It's supposed to cleanse you and cleanse your mind. It was kind of the point of the cereal. I mean, we like it. We like cereal in America just because it's easy to eat, and usually it's sugary and tasty, right? But yeah, it's a whole part of assimilating. And so when Mala comes, his wife, she really kind of stirs it up. She makes him the first curry he's had in forever, and they sit down on the ground and they eat with their hands, and it's like this really intimate, beautiful moment for him. And it really just kind of highlights, the dichotomy of the two cultures, right? You've got American culture, which is all about, being sterile. Like the food is so bland, the food is so simple, and you're not eating with your hands, you're eating with utensils, you're not supposed to talk. It's just so many manners and kind of mannerisms around it that are so European, right? And so white. And then you've got the curry that is so flavorful and so spicy and sensual, and you've got these people eating with their hands. It's a moment to have intimacy. It's really just a complete dichotomy to the American kind of way. And so that's really highlighted. And so he's really he's between two places. He's between his identity wanting to assimilate, and he's also between his identity of his past in India and that culture, and really kind of he's torn between the two. Although towards the end of the story, he really starts to talk about how Mala and him really want their kid to grow up with, the Indian identity, the Indian culture. And so he really tries to foster that and nurture that within his child and in his marriage. We also learn that Mrs. Croft dies which is really, really hard for our main character. He definitely felt a kinship to her. Um, but yeah, anyway, just a great story about one's immigrant experience in the United States and the whole process of assimilation. And I'm sure that you saw connections between this as well as Sherman Alexie's story, which even though Sherman Alexie's a native, a Native American in a white Eurocentric America is a completely different thing, right? And then you've also got the story of Diaz, who is from the Dominican Republic living in New Jersey. So anyway, I hope you guys saw the connections between the three and enjoyed the stories.